Hello everyone and welcome back to the Toby channel. Of course, it's time for another Fantasy EFL Game Week preview. This week it's Game Week 29. The season seems to be flying by now, but we've got another massive double game week coming up this week. It's even bigger and better than the last couple of weeks, so I'm super excited for it. We've got so many stats, so much to dive into for the week. We've also got a fantastic experts corner on somebody who I'm so excited to welcome to the channel, who is Merlins, who came 4th last season in Fantasy EFL, and then this season he's 8th, I think, at the moment. He's having an insanely good season and pretty near the top as well, so can't wait to dive into that later on, so stick around for the latter end of the video for that. But for now, we've got so much to talk about, so many different stats, so let's not waste any time and let's get into it. However, before we get into this week's shenanigans, we've got to recap everything that happened in Game Week 28. Now, I am recording this on the Wednesday before the Wednesday evening set of fixtures, so I don't unfortunately have all of my scores in. I know the rankings will have changed a little bit, probably by the time that you watch this on Wednesday night, or if you're watching it before the Wednesday fixtures, then shout out to you. Hopefully I get it out in time for that anyway. So yeah, still got McJanet, Cabia, Swindon and Drinnen all to play, so hopefully I can get a little bit of a buff up in my ranking. Yeah, we're somehow on a green arrow. I don't feel like I've had a good week whatsoever, to be honest. Cambridge did recover things a little bit with their win on Tuesday night. They got a 0-pointer against Harrogate at the weekend, which was just an insane fixture, but it just goes to show this season's been so random and there's been so many crazy results happen. So if you manage to avoid those Cambridge assets for the weekend, then fair play. And if you avoided Ben Knight as your captain as well, well done. I was so high on him this week and I was so confident in him as well. And then only to come out of it with 7 points, getting me 14 points as my captain, is just not ideal. Really wish that I'd gone with the more popular option of wing. Obviously, he only scored 4 more points than Knight, so it's not like it's the worst decision in the world, but obviously captaining pretty much anybody other than Knight in my team would have been a better move. It is what it is. We're also on the back end of some bad goalkeeper swings. Smith from Grimsby and Ripley from Swindon both saved penalties this weekend. Of course, the goalkeeper that we ended up with was Eastwood, so it's a shame to have not got those points, but Eastwood did get us a clean sheet last night, so can't complain too much there. But yeah, we might still get a bit of a recovery. We have moved up a few places, but after I dropped, I think, nearly 1,000 places last week, I was really hoping to gain a bit more ground. We've got another massive game week this week to hopefully move on up a little bit as well. I forgot to say too that Ahmed was benched as well midweek and only got a 1-pointer, which was disappointing, but at least he got a clean sheet in the first game. It's obviously not a crazy disaster, but I just would like at this stage of the season to be moving up those rankings, but it is what it is. Let's move up this week in another massive double game week. Now time for the Game Week 29 key information, and the keyest bit of information that is going this week would be knowing that you're subscribed and that you've hit the like button. So hit like right now and hit subscribe if you somehow haven't already. We're trying to collect all the fantasy EFL managers, get them into one place, get them watching the videos, because hopefully it's just a nice community and a place to be for our, it's a very niche game, but it's great to have everybody along. So if you've not hit subscribe already, hit subscribe. If your mum and your dad haven't hit subscribe, tell them to hit subscribe as well, and they can hit like. All right, I love all of you guys. Thanks for all the support. But anyway, into the key information for this week, and that is that double game week 29 is another massive double game week. It is absolutely crazy. I've not listed out all of the doubling teams like I have done the last couple of weeks because there's just so many of them. The one championship team that are doubling is Portsmouth, so I've written that down for you. You're welcome. I'm very kind, I know. But yeah, I wasn't going to write out all the League 1 ones and the League 2 ones because more teams are doubling than not. So you can go and have a look. I think there's 16 League 1 teams and 21 League 2 teams, I believe. Of course, the FA Cup weekend has kind of messed everything up in terms of fixtures. Some of the teams who only have a single game week, their single fixture is only in midweek. So it's a bit of a hectic one, but there's still loads of teams doubling, more teams doubling than we have had over the last couple of weeks. So I'm very excited to kind of see how it all plays out. And of course, we've still got the max captain available as it refreshed last week. So if you're a bit unsure in terms of who you want to captain, maybe you want to play that chip this week just to kind of get it out of the way and you don't have to think about it. I think that there will be better opportunities, especially around the Easter period when everybody's doubling. But if you're unsure this week on who you want to captain, might not be the worst idea in the world. So, onto the Game Week 29 club picks that I'm really liking the look of. And there are some really, really nice looking club picks this week. And I don't think that it's just clear as day as to who the best 1 or 2 picks are. There's of course usually a standout, and we'll talk about them later on, but I think that it's actually a really close call. So we're first going to talk about Cambridge, who of course their ownership is really high based on just this week. Most people seem to pick them. So the percentage hasn't really come down yet, but I don't expect it to come down too much because I do think they've got a really nice set of fixtures as well. And if you still wanted to stick with Cambridge for back-to-back weeks, I really don't think it's the worst idea in the world. Bristol Rovers, of course, not the best side in the world. They've had a little bit of an upturn since Evans came in, but they're still not an amazing side whatsoever. And then Colchester too, I don't feel too enamoured by. And just with how good Cambridge are, especially at home, especially with how good their defensive data is, I think it's pretty valid to still back Cambridge as one of your teams. In the last 6 games, they've averaged 7.8 points, which is a ridiculous amount. Swindon we're going to talk about now. Now, of course, we've got this midweek game as I'm recording this, that is tonight, so we're not sure of the result of that. Maybe if they end up losing the game, it's going to put us off even more. The thing with Swindon that puts me off this week is I don't like that Barnet fixture. Barnet are in really, really good form, and their expected goals numbers, their goal numbers, in fact, just themselves, are really, really good, and Barnet have such a good attack. Especially Swindon being away at Barnet, I don't like that fixture. I think the Shrewsbury one is a nice one, but I think I'll probably avoid Swindon for the Barnet game. But don't think they're the worst team in the world. Of course, they've got a massive ceiling being 2 games away from home, but I feel like there's probably safer ones to go for this week. We'll talk about Bromley next, who are only at 3.7%. We've got a massive jump between those two to the 3rd most selected team for the week, and I think that Bromley are a decent shout. They've averaged 8 points in their last 6 games, which is a crazy tally. They're of course top of the league, and they have been the best side in League 2 so far this season. The Notts County game is pretty tricky, but the Cheltenham game is a nice one. I think there's a decent bit of balance in between both of those fixtures, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bromley win both those games, or if they win and they draw, they'll still end up with a decent points tally. Their attacking data is so good, so I think that Bromley are a reasonable shout, but maybe you want to save that pick if if you're on 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 for a week when they don't have an opposition like Notts County, who are definitely a really strong opponent. Lincoln against Bolton and Northampton. Lincoln's run that they've been on has been crazy. I haven't given Lincoln enough respect over the course of the season. They've been excellent, and I think they're only 2 points behind Cardiff at the top end of League 1 now. So I think that I owe Lincoln a bit of, not an apology, but I've done them a bit of a disservice this season by not covering them as much as I should have done. And 2 home games, a side who are as strong, at such a fearsome ground like Sinsel Bank, I think that Lincoln are a pretty nice shout this week. And with Bolton, you're just never sure what you're going to get. I don't really fear the Bolton fixture as much as I might have done in other seasons, or as I might have done earlier in the season. And I think the Northampton game is a nice fixture, although I don't expect that to be a pretty game of football whatsoever. 8.3 average points in their last 6 is more than anybody that Lincoln have, so I think they're still a pretty decent shout, but it just doesn't feel too clear-cut given the fact that Bolton are one of their opponents. Cardiff at home to Luton and Wimbledon. I think that those fixtures are okay as well. It's a bit similar to the Lincoln one, where Luton, that game puts you off a little bit, but the Wimbledon fixture is pretty nice, although Wimbledon's games do tend to be pretty close. Cardiff are the top of the league. They've been the best team in the league probably over the course of the season. They deserve to be there. They play some really nice football when they get going, and they've got 12 clean sheets, which is an insane amount. 1.56 expected goals per 90 is really, really good as well. I think Cardiff are just a solid pick this week. You can't really go wrong with picking the top of the league, and you would expect them to be winning those games. Whether that will actually happen, we'll see. And Luton and Wimbledon aren't the easiest fixtures, but they're definitely not the worst in the world. MK Dons, this is the team that's the standout for me this week. I think that they are the best team pick to select, and I think that I would definitely have them in. They're playing really, really well at the moment. They're playing against Newport and Crawley, who average 21.5 places in the table, which is so low down. Newport are a very poor team, and Crawley aren't an awful lot better. So I think that it's a really, really good week to pick them. 7.7 average points in the last 6 is an insane amount. The attacking data is really good. The defensive data is solid. I'm picking MK Dons this week. Are you picking them too? I think it just makes sense. Chesterfield play Harrogate and Gillingham. The Harrogate game So this is kind of my wild card selection in Chesterfield. They're not going to be highly selected whatsoever, but the Harrogate fixture is so nice. Obviously, Harrogate pulled out a crazy result against Cambridge, but I don't think that just suddenly makes them a crazy side. I still think that you want to be targeting them. And the Gillingham fixture could be a lot worse. 5.5 average in the last 6 for Chesterfield isn't amazing, but it's not awful. You'd be looking at 11 points over the double with that, and they've got a pretty easy set of fixtures. One of the best ones that we've got on the list. So I think that if you just want a crazy differential, and if you want a fixture that feels like a banker to win, at home to Harrogate feels like it should be a banker, but you never know with this crazy season of Fantasy EFL. And then we've got an honourable mention in Reading as well. They're at home to Wycombe and they're at home to Bolton. Wycombe have been pretty poor away this season, although we have kind of got ourselves together over the last couple of away games. And then Bolton, again, you're just never sure. But Reading at home, they're a very good side. They're 5 games unbeaten. They've had 3 wins in that time, and they've scored 2 goals in 4 of those 5 games. So I think that they could be a sneaky honourable mention. But I think there's far safer teams to be picking, and I'm very much hoping that Wycombe get a result against them this weekend. That's where I'm at in terms of my club picks. MK Dons are the standout for me, and then it's just, who do we pick alongside them? Is it Cardiff? Do you play it safe with them or Bromley, or do you fancy a bit of a risk with somebody else like a Chesterfield? Onto the defenders section now, and it feels like we're actually missing some really big names off the list. And I'm going to go over why that isn't there, because we've got no Dimitriou, we've got no Sanders, we've got no Sawunmi on this list here, and that's because all of their minutes haven't been very good lately. Sawunmi hasn't played in the last 2 games. I think that Sanders had a benching or missed a game recently. Dimitriou as well, his minutes haven't been feeling too secure. So we're actually looking at a few alternative options this week, although one of the main picks from this week, of course, has to be Watts from Cambridge. We know that from game week 28, he's a massive threat and he can score massive amounts of points. He's been really, really good. He had a decent week, although not getting a clean sheet in the first game. And I think that he's still a really, really nice pick. And he's probably the standout option, or one of them, for this week. At least the Cambridge defence is really, really good. Tucker for Colchester. I don't like this in terms of clean sheets. I don't feel great about it because they are playing Cambridge, who are a good side. But the Barrow game, Barrow are just losing week on week at the moment. So I think that it's not the worst pick in the world. And Tucker probably has the best bonuses out of anybody in the whole game. So you're probably looking at like a 6 or 7 point floor. Didn't do that intentionally, and I'm not doing the emote today. I'll try not to anyway. But I do think that Tucker, in terms of a floor, is decent, but I just can't see him getting that crazy ceiling that somebody else on this list might get. One of those who I think has got a really nice ceiling is Bradley. I think that Lincoln are a really solid side at home, as I said earlier. And he's got really, really nice attacking data as well. 0.17 expected goal involvements per 90. Sonny Bradley, throughout his whole career, has been a really good goal-scoring centre-back, and he'll get up for set pieces, and he'll probably have 1 or 2 chances in this double game week. Bolton and Northampton are relatively solid sides, but maybe it's going to take a set piece to break down a team like that, who knows. And I still think that they're both decent chances of a clean sheet, so I do really like Sonny Bradley this week. Che Dunkley is kind of my wildcard pick, like I said with Chesterfield before as well. His minutes aren't too secure, and somebody who I feel safer with for them is probably Swinkles at Chesterfield, although I just feel like Dunkley has far better bonuses. I'd rather be trying to look at Dunkley. If he starts that Harrogate game, I think he's a great pick, and I would expect him to play both. He's just been coming back from an injury lately, so there's a chance that he might get dropped. But I do like Dunkley, and I think that with this set of 2 fixtures, I think they're really nice for him, and he's one that I really want to squeeze in there, but it's just, are you willing to take that risk with the rotation, given that he's not been nailed in the side as of late? Perry NG at Cardiff, he's sort of the attacking option here because he plays at fullback for Cardiff most of the time, although he's had many stints at centre-back in their team. Luton and Wimbledon as the fixture for Cardiff, as I said before, I think that it's decent. I could see at least 1 clean sheet, and I'd be surprised if there was 2. But Perry NG scores goals, he's had a few goals to his name over quite a few seasons for them. He's always been a decent attacking threat throughout his whole career. 0.18 expected goal involvements per 90 is decent. His clearance bonuses aren't there. I wouldn't even expect 1 point for clearances, but he might get tackles. There's a slight more chance that he gets blocks than clearances, but I just think because of that attacking threat, because he plays with such a good team, I do think that NG is a good option. I really want to get a Cardiff defender in there because they've kept 12 clean sheets this season, which is, I'm pretty sure, the joint most out of anybody in the whole of the EFL. Nelson at MK Dons. this is the big one. I almost feel bad for putting this guy in here because I feel like his ownership is definitely going to rise, but people just have to be aware of him. He's been the MK Dons defender that's been the most settled in the team. Sanders and Offord, they've not been too nailed, and I think that Nelson is the one who feels very good. His clearances are really, really good. He's kind of taken that mantle off Sanders while he hasn't been in the team. The fixtures are just insane. He's actually scored a goal as well in the short time that he's been at MK Dons, so I just really, really like it. His expected goal involvement is like negligible. I think it's 0.04 that he's amassed over 5 games, something like that, but he has got a goal to his name in that time through that. I just think the fixtures are so nice, the bonuses are so good. I would be putting Nelson in your team. That's kind of my recommendation. I don't like to tell people what to do, but I just think that Nelson is probably the best defender option that we have this week, and he's definitely going in for me. As you can tell, I'm big on my MK picks this week, which hurts me. I went the whole of last season without picking them because of my kind of Wickham biased point of view, but I just think that he's a really, really good pick. And yeah, have a look at the data yourself, see if you fancy it, but I'm definitely putting him in, and I think that he's going to have a really, really good week. Honourable mentions, of course, we spoke about Swinkles at Chesterfield, but then O'Connor at Reading as well. Got himself a goal the other day. He's always had decent attacking threat, and his bonuses are pretty nice. It's just the fixtures aren't great. I would hope that Wickham are going to score against Reading, and I probably would predict us to, but equally sometimes we just don't turn up away from home whatsoever. I think that there are worse fixtures out there, given that Reading are a solid side at home. I prefer the defenders that we've got on the list, but it's just worth mentioning him. Maybe you want to look at it and think about it. That's where I'm at, basically. Nelson is definitely my favourite. If Sanders does start the first game, then I think that Sanders is always going to be an excellent pick, but just the minutes have scared me off a little bit recently. I would just love to find a way to get Dunkley in my team as well, but it feels like a bit of a risk too. Onto the midfielders section now, and I genuinely think that I could have had 2 tables of players for midfield. I even had to take people out of the honourable mentions because there were just so many. I don't think there's like crazy standouts, but there's just a lot of options to consider. So I'll try my best to whiz through them and not take too much time to get through them. But first up, of course, we've got to talk about Lewis Wing. His interceptions are so good. He's on penalties. He can score worldies. He gets the key passes. His shots on target are decent. Coming off the back of another assist this week as well, and an 11-point haul in game week 28, which is pretty decent, although actually probably pretty low for him over the course of 2 games. I just think he's a standout option. He's got the most points out of anybody in the game. I think Lewis Wing is a great pick for the week. He's playing Wickham and Bolton, which obviously it upsets me picking a player against Wickham, but Lewis Wing has a great record scoring against us, and he's scored, I think it's twice in the last 2 seasons against us, like 1 in each season. So I'm fearing playing against him, and I think that there's a good chance that he does score in that game this weekend, so I think he's still a really good pick. I've got Knight in, who disappointed me so much as my captain this week, but I do still think that he's a good shout. He's going to be on penalties. His minutes, he seems to get about 70 or so per game, so I'd expect at least 140 over the course of the double. It's just that has his attacking threat been too good aside from the penalties? Maybe not, especially the last couple games, but I still think he's a good option. His interceptions have been really nice too. He's just not getting a crazy amount of key passing shots on target, but I still think that he's a nice pick, and I'm really tempted to back him again. For some reason, I've just got a good feeling again about him, but I did have such a good feeling last week, and it went so badly. O'Reilly at Crew, this guy's just magic. He can create something from nothing, and I think that he's one of those players who has an explosive ceiling. He's actually got 9 points at least in games over 9 different occasions this season, so 1 in every 3 games he's hitting 9 points, which is pretty crazy. He's been fairly consistent too with his scoring because he's got a 6 average, he's got 6.8 over his last 6. He's had 3 13-pointers in his last 12 games too. I think that O'Reilly is still a very nice pick. And I love the fact that his key passes are so high. His interceptions aren't too bad either. So yeah, I think O'Reilly's a nice pick, and the fixtures are pretty decent for him. Now I thought I'd include Fred and Yadimma just to have a quick chat about the Wickham midfield assets, because I think that our midfield assets are by far our best ones for this week. I wouldn't be looking at the defenders away from home or any of the forwards, and I don't think that we're a particularly great club pick. If everybody was fit, Boyd Muntz would be the standout one. However, he came off injured last game, and I don't expect him to play, but it looked like he was going to be on penalties and set pieces, and then also with the interception threat, as he took out the last penalty. but unfortunately it looks like he's injured. Keep an eye on the team news, because I think if he starts, he's a really, really good asset, because his interceptions have been crazy lately, and putting, you know, some good goals through on top of that makes a very, very good asset. I think Morley could step into that role and could potentially get penalties, but I would expect it to be Woodrow, so I probably wouldn't be looking at Morley. Although I don't think he's the worst asset in the world, and I think he's got like 19 points in his last 2 games or something absurd like that. Fred Onyedinma, however, is the one who I think has the highest ceiling, and if you were just to pick sort of a one-off asset, I think that Fred could do really well. I've spoken about him a lot over the season. He's not playing striker anymore, he's playing on the left wing, and I don't think that he will get that striker spot off Woodrow because he's played well recently. But I do still think that Fred's minutes are really, really good. His attacking threat is always good, and he's in really, really hot form at the moment. So I think that Fred is a very nice differential pick, but there's definitely picks who feel a bit safer, and I'll probably prefer a penalty taker over him. But definitely not the worst in the world. I'm certainly thinking about it just to make my game week a bit more fun. I love backing a Wickham asset just because that's the fun of the game for me. Whittaker, I think, is an outstanding asset for Tranmere. He's been in such good form in front of goal as well. His attacking data is decent. He gets a decent amount of shots on target, but also his key passes are really, really good. So I think that Charlie Whittaker, given his fixtures being against Crawley and Accrington at home, is a really nice pick this week. Willock is probably my favourite Cardiff midfielder right now, but they've got quite a lot of different options. I think that Willock is the one I like the most as well for the really high ceiling. A 7.2 average over his last 6, that's basically because he scored all those points in his last 3 games. I think he got like a 22 pointer or something crazy like that in there, and then maybe like an 8 and a 9 on top of that. So Willock's in very good form, 2 home games too. I would be expecting him to start them both, but he's definitely not a 90-minute man who's nailed on to get 180 minutes. But I do think if you want a bit of a outrageous differential who's got a big ceiling, Willock is a very exciting one. And then Devlin at Portsmouth, he's not the most exciting asset in the world, plays right back for them I believe, but he's taken away really nicely with the interceptions. They've been very, very good lately, and quite often he's getting 3, 4, 5 interceptions in a game. Does have the odd blank in him, and of course doesn't have the best attacking threat in the world. I think Devlin's pretty nice. He's pretty similar to Ibu Adams, so I'd probably prefer him for scoring a goal, but there's not much in between them both. And I think that Adams is a nice pick too. Shelton at Barnet, I've really liked over the course of the season, and might be on penalties. I think that Barnet are just in such good form, so he could be a nice one. Pinnock is ticking along nice to get so many assists. His interceptions are pretty nice. And then Phillips at Barnsley, I just don't feel amazing about his minutes, but in terms of the attacking form, he's in better form than probably anybody on this list. So watch out for if Adam Phillips starts the game for Barnsley this weekend. I think he could be a really, really nice pick. And he's been known to get penalties sometimes in the past as well. So Adam Phillips could definitely be one to watch. Just keep an eye out for him in the team news this week. That's where we're at for the midfielders. I had a lot to say, and I'm very sorry I've rambled on. But there's so many nice picks this week, and I'm genuinely torn as to who I want to go for. Now, I've narrowed the forward section down to far fewer names than we had in the midfield section, because I just think that there's some crazy standouts. So we're going to run through the 5 players that I've listed here, and then a couple of quick words on the honourable mentions. We're going to start with Drinnan. He's in just crazy form. He scored 17, I think, in 24 games, which is just nuts. He's not that far off a goal a game, which is crazy work. Just the fixtures, like I said before for Swindon, the Barnet game scares me a little bit, but does that really affect Drinnan? He's probably a fixture-proof asset at this point, so I think he's a really nice pick, and you've got to be a bit brave to go completely against him, to be honest. Cheek at Bromley, the form hasn't really been there recently, but he's shown that he's got the hat-trick potential. Usually, to me, he's just like a goal every other game kind of guy, and he scored about every other game last season, and he's got 14 in 30 this year too. So he's not the craziest high ceiling asset. I wouldn't expect the hat-tricks, but he has done it in the past. I just think that there's players in better form than him that I would prefer, but 2 home games for the League 2 player of the season from last year, who's having another very good season, it's definitely not the worst idea in the world. Patterson for MK Dons, his form has just been outrageous. 10.8 average points over his last 6. That's nuts. When he's been ticking over with an 8 and a 9 pointer, that's lowered his average points down. Like, that is crazy work. The Newport game is so good. The Crawley game's really nice. Patterson looks so good for me this week. The attacking data is pretty good too. His shots on target are okay, they're not anything out of this world. But I think that Patterson, just given the form he's in, again, it's so tough to look past him. And the choice between him or Drinnen is so tough to call. Maybe you want to just go for them both, and then you can't miss out on any hat-trick potential with either of them. Jack Marriott, his form again has been crazy good. 7 average over his last 6 is so good. The game against Wycombe too scares me. I feel like he's got a good chance against us. Just the XGI hasn't been amazing. He seems to just get like 0.37, 0.38 expected goals every game, but he still scores in those games. So yeah, only 12 goals compared to the others, but he's played a lot fewer games. So I think that Marriott is still a really good pick. And 6.8 average is such a nice tally, and he's not one who's had a hat-trick to carry him towards those numbers. He's just getting, goals nearly every game at the moment. And then Fletcher at Blackpool, I wanted to put him in because his home form is absurd. He's so good at home for Blackpool, and they've got 2 home games against opposition who, they're not the worst teams in the world, but they're definitely not like the Cardiffs and, those kind of teams, the Lincolns of League One. So I think that Fletcher has a good chance this week. And if you just want to go completely out there for a big differential, he's really got a high ceiling and he could be a very nice player to pick. And then I've put Dolby and Leonard in honourable mentions. Leonard was an honourable mention last week and of course ended up with a really good game week. I think he scored in both of the games this week. And I feel like Dolby's just got a really high ceiling for Bolton. He's one of those players who could just go nuclear in any given game, but the fixtures definitely aren't perfect for Bolton. Just worth mentioning both of them as very much outsiders, but they're still coming into really good form and it's worth keeping an eye on them. Drinnen and Patterson are definitely my favourites, but all these players are just very nice picks and there's so many valid forward picks for the week. I think I'll probably be on Patterson. It's just, do you then partner him with Drinnen? It's definitely tempting. Gather around everyone and welcome back to the Experts Corner. I'm so excited to have Merlins on the channel this week. He was 4th in Fantasy EFL last season and then he's just dropped down to 8th from 4th again already. But I have a feeling that he's going to go up tonight because he's got quite a few assets who are playing on the Wednesday night. So he's having such a good season again. He's aiming for the top 3 in the world is what he told me. And fingers crossed he can do it because in my opinion he's probably the best Fantasy EFL manager in the world out there. If not, he's definitely up there with some of my favourites and some of the best performing managers over the past couple of years. So I'm going to stop yapping. Let's hear from a real expert and see who Merlins has got in his first draft for the week.
Cambridge have been rock solid defensively this season. Jake Eastwood has 11 clean sheets, leads League 2 goalkeepers in points, and is always reliable for saves even if they concede. With 2 home matches ahead, both games are must-win to keep their automatic promotion hopes alive. Curtis Nelson is an experienced centre-back and a recent addition to MK Dons. He's played 5 matches this season and scored 1 goal. Last season, he featured in 27 games for Derby County in the Championship, showing a high level for League 2 standards. He plays centrally in back 3, which is good for clearances, and he hasn't missed a single minute since joining. Perry NG is an offensively strong left back. He has scored 3 goals this season and had 6 goals in the Championship 2 seasons ago. His attacking potential is huge, and he is now fully recovered from the hamstring injury that affected him last year. Louis Wing is on penalties, a nailed-on 90-minutes player, and the team's talisman. 2 home matches this round make him especially valuable, and he's always an exception option, particularly during double game weeks due to multiple routes to points. It's worth noting that he is much stronger in interceptions at home, 1.6 in home matches versus 0.57 in away matches. Charlie Whittaker, 11 offensive returns in 28 matches this season. Recently playing as a striker, he is out of position player, young and promising, and key player for Tranmere with 2 home matches this round. A solid outcome is expected. Barnett Shoughton, one of my favorite League 2 players, key for the team with multiple routes to points. Though no longer on penalties, missed the last 2. 2 home fixtures this round. Cheltenham have conceded 10 goals in their last 4 matches and Swindon aren't defensively strong, so goals are expected. I will definitely target Barnett's fixtures this week. The last but not least, Callum Patterson, MK Don's experienced player, penalty taker, and the most nailed striker in the team. Upcoming features are excellent. The team is fighting for promotion. Not perfect X means, but they can't afford to drop points. 14 goals and 8 assists in 29 matches, making him a strong captaincy candidate. He has scored in 4 consecutive matches. It's clear that I am heavily relying on MK Dons and Barnett, and it's expected that I'll pick them as my team selections. Thank you, Toby, for everything you do for our community. Wishing you a successful double game week.
Thanks so much to Merlins for coming on and some very nice words at the end as well. You're a legend, sir. I think that his team looks really, really good. And there's a lot of these picks who I'm thinking about putting in myself. So kind of knowing that Merlins is looking at them as well sort of makes me feel a lot better about those picks. He does some really good work as well in the community, always doing, I think he's featuring in some articles that have experts in them. So it's worth giving him a follow. Go and check him out over on Twitter as well. Always posting some nice differentials, that kind of thing. So Merlins, you're a legend. Thanks so much for coming on. The team looks brilliant as well. Definitely tempted by some of them. And Shelton's somebody who I didn't speak about too much. I kind of wish that I did, and I've been tempted by him so many times. So love the side. Good luck this week, sir. I'm sure you don't need luck from me because you are such a good manager. And have a great game week. Onto my own team selection now. Here is how we're looking for the week. Shout out to Joe Jenkins in the comments last week for reminding me to take the X off your max captain, because of course we've got it available now. Won't be playing it this week, but it's good to have it back out there. My watch list has probably never been smaller, has it, before? I'm very settled on a lot of the picks that we've got in here. Patterson currently the captain. I'm sort of tempted to go for Nelson though. And then of course got the vice captain on wing. It could be on Fred as well, both of them playing in the early kickoff this weekend. I feel decent about it. I think Knight and Fred could definitely change. I think Fred changing to Whittaker is probably fairly likely. But I find the weekend so much more enjoyable when I've got just like one Wickham asset in there. If I go overboard on Wickham, then it puts too much pressure on it. But I feel like having like one midfield asset, sometimes it just makes it so much more fun. So I kind of want to back Fred for the week. Still tempted by Morley, and I will go to Boyd Muntz if he does end up starting. Just don't expect that to happen. But yeah, the team looking pretty good. I think that Knight, he disappointed me so much. I'm like, there's a mega hole in there, it's waiting to happen. Is it going to happen this week? Am I going to end up backing it? Maybe I'll end up swapping. There we go. Got the words out in the end. I could end up with Drinnen in there as well. I just think that it feels risky not to go for him, and having him and Patterson in, I'm expecting so many people to have them in as their front two this week. I think that I prefer Patterson to Drinnen, but there's not much in it. And literally, like, if both of them scored a hat-trick this week, nobody would really be surprised, would they? So, two really, really good assets. But that's where we're at the moment. I don't feel amazing about the Cardiff pick. If I was going to swap, I'd maybe go to Cambridge. But I've got Cardiff picks there to use. They're top of the league for a reason, so I should probably feel a bit better about it. That's where we're at this week. Definitely not as settled as last week, but that watch list is only a few different assets, and I think there's only a few that I'm really debating choosing between. So that's where we're at. Hopefully we can move on up and gain a few hundred places this week. That's the aim. So that's all that we've got time for this week. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. If you've made it this far, you might as well. It's completely free and it will help me out so much. Yeah, it's a very exciting week. Whenever Wickham double, I'm very excited about the fixtures, and I've got to try and get a Wickham asset in there. That's what the game's about, right? Surely, back in your own team whenever you can. I feel good about it. I feel pretty good about the team. It's just there's a few 50-50 decisions that we've got to try and make the call on. I will, of course, update my team over on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. FEFLTIPS is the username over there. I might change that and have a bit of a rebrand soon. I'm still not decided on it, but I feel like that's probably pretty likely. Thanks so much for all the support lately. It means so much, and I get so many lovely comments. All of you are always so nice about the channel, so big up to you. Let's keep the momentum we've got going on in 2026. Let's hit 1,000 subs together. Love this community. Thanks so much, guys. Good luck this week. Let's all hit some green arrows, and I'll see you same time, same place next week. Peace, guys.